Hi guys, happy Monday. Yuck. Alright, so Ouija Magical Boot Camp. Tonight, midnight is the deadline. So, international, if you want, I can do the ebooks for you. I'm willing to work with anybody that cannot afford to, do the initial fee. It'll be limited. You'll still get access to all the private studio videos, all of this. So, yeah, tonight at midnight is the deadline for the Ouija Magical Boot Camp. So, if you guys want, you guys can, but it will start sooner than later. So, I'll probably extend it. Because I know a lot of you want to be in this, so I have one person so far, and we are on the very same page, and I love that. So, alright, this is going to be completely different. Yeah, we are going to be working with the Ouija, so we are specifically going to be working with the Ouija. So yes, the Ouija, we're going to go into kind of how I practice. So it's going to be molded more around ceremonial magic and traditional witchcraft. So, and I have given you guys tons of information on La Santissima Muerte. So, what do I want to start with? Okay, first, magic. First, we have got to know. So this book is seriously amazing, you guys. If you can, bookoutlet.com or .net or something, you can get this book for like $8. So, this is going to tell you, I'm going to briefly sum up. This is very simple. So this is going to give you guys something very simple to focus on, so that your, everything is, we have that agent, that force behind everything that we do. So, yeah, I'm just going to summarize what magic is for you guys, and it's going to be a lot easier. I found it to be a lot easier. So, here we go. Right, the perfect verb is the ternary? Okay, so ternary, because it supposes an intelligent principle, an expressive principle, and a spoken principle. So, the absolute, which is revealed by the word, gives this word a meaning, which is true to itself, and creates a third itself in the understanding of this word. So, it is thus that the sun is made manifest by the light, and demonstrates this manifestation, or renders it effective through its heat. Making sense to your magical work? Maybe that analogy is a little better than what you've been told. So, alright, what does the ternary mean? Ternary? The ternary is outlined in space, from the sky's zenith, infinite in height, which is attached by two straight and diverging lines to the Orient and the Occident. So, but reason compares this visible triangle, this is the Triangle of Solomon, to another invisible triangle, which it affirms to be equal to the first. It is the one which has as its summit the depths. Weird words. So, and whose base is inverted and parallel to the horizontal line which goes from the Orient to the Occident. So these two triangles reunite in a single figure, which is what we would call the six-pointed star. So, from the Sacred Seal of Solomon, the shining star of the macrocosm. So, this symbol, which is the great pentacle expresses the idea of the infinite and the absolute, which is to say, it is the simplest and most complete synthesis of all things, on its own grammar attributes. 3 persons to the verb. So the first person is he who speaks. So that would be us. We are speaking the word. So the word is the verb that creates. Remember that. So the first person is he who speaks. The second is he whom we speak. As to he is he to whom we speak. So we're speaking with our intention and will, and we are speaking to the agent. So the all source. So the third is he about whom we speak. So kind of difficult. It's very riddled. So the infinite prince is creating. Oh, the infinite prince in creating speaks of himself to himself. So this is the explanation of the ternary, and the origin of the dogma of the Trinity. So the magical doctrine is also of 1 in 3 and 3 in 1. So that which is above resembles or is equal to that which is below. Thus, 2 things which resemble each other, and the verb which expresses their resemblance makes 3. So if you can kind of understand that, the 3 is a very magical number. Odd numbers are very magical. So the tyranny is the universal doctrine. The universal doctrine, the laws of nature. You can find those in the 7 Hermetic principles. So, in magic, it is principle, fulfillment, and adaptation. So, that's in magic. In alchemy, it is Izoth. In cooperation and transmutation. In theology, it is God. Incarnation and redemption. In the human soul is it thought, love, and action. In the family, it is father, mother, and child. The tyranny is the goal and the ultimate expression of love. So, we search for another to become 2 in order to become 3. This is very, very difficult. I mean, it's not difficult, but it's very different. So, then there are 3 intelligible words which correspond to each other through a hierarchical analogy. So, this is important. The natural or physical world, the spiritual or metaphysical world, and the divine or religious world. So we have 3 again. So from this principle results the hierarchy of states of mind, divided into 3 orders, which are again subdivided as always by the tyranny, whatever that word is. All these revelations are logical deductions from the first mathematical notions of being and number. So, mathematics, math, numbers, very Kabbalistic. Why am I fuzzy? It's very Kabbalistic, so I think, there we go. Yeah, I really think that you guys are going to like this. So, this is right here. This is what really made me think, okay, my magic, it works. It works. Okay, the unity to become active must multiply. Okay, an indivisible principle, which is immortal. No, immobile. It's immortal and infertile, would be a dead and incomprehensible unity. So, if God was only one, he would never be creator and father. If he was 2, there would be the infinite antagonism or division, and the result would be the division of death of all things. Thus, he is 3 in order to create from himself and in his image the ultimate the infinite multitude of beings and numbers. So, thus, thus he is truly unique of himself, and threefold in our conception of him, which also makes us see him through our intellect, and in our love as both threefold and unique. So, this is a mystery for the believer, and a logical necessity for the initiate of the true and absolute sciences. So, the verb made manifest by life is realization or incarnation. The life of the verb is completing its cyclical movement, is adaption. Yes, adaption or redemption. This threefold doctrine was known to all the sanctuaries, enlightened by the tradition of the sages. So, we have a lot of stuff here to cover. So, a lot of stuff. I have so much, I'm fuzzy again, so much highlighted for you guys. Just so we can all be on the same page, and I just kind of want to give you just this brief introduction, which this is just simplifying what I've already known, which is amazing. So, okay, now the Tetragrammatron. So, affirmation, negation, discussion, solution. These are the four philosophical operations of the human spirit. So, those are the four, yes, of magic. So I am finding this quite interesting. I thought, okay, here we go. Right. So by bringing their reflection before our diaphane, a reflection which exists in the astral light, in their reflection, if their reflection ever existed, or a reflection which is analogous to their spiritual verb. So if they never existed on Earth, this explains all visions, and more important, demonstrates why the dead always appear to seers, either the way they had been on Earth or the way they were still are in the tomb. Never are they in an existence which escapes the perceptions of our actual organism. So, some pretty interesting stuff on magic. So, I wanted to tell you guys more. I really wanted to tell you guys more. I just can't. I don't think I outlined any of that. So that's kind of what I wanted to just touch on. Shoot. Okay. Yeah. I'm not finding what I wanted to tell you guys today. So yeah, this is just a tremendous help. So, magic, that's what magic is. The fluid of the universe, the ether, the ethereal realm, the astral light. That is why I'm saying, when we go into our Ouija sessions, you must use your imagination. That is the key to unlocking and literally seeing into different worlds, different realms. It's completely and 100% truth. For me it is. For me, I'm not saying anybody else has to take that as truth. So, we all know, do we know how to create a circle? Lay a compass? Should I go into that with you guys? You guys know how I work. So, here is just my outline. This is my basic outline of my idea, my methodology behind how I get my magic to work. So, alright, so for me, say I am doing a candle. Okay, I will bless it first, cleanse it and bless it. So I do that in a traditional way, traditional witchcraft way. So more European traditional witchcraft, British traditional witchcraft. So I would take my candle, say I am preparing my candle for a Ouija session. So what I would do is take my left ring finger, a little bit of saliva, makes 3 X's on the candle. See that with your third eye, see that astral light, see it going into the candle and radiating and pulsating. Okay, we have energy, we have form, we are giving it form. Now you have to talk, you have to speak. The verb is what we say, how we are going to get this to work. So, what is the intention of the candle with the 3 astral X's on them? It's easier to simplify it. So you could come up with a rhyme or a chant, anything that you feel comfortable with. For me, I use, when I'm doing this with the candle, I see the astral light pulsating in and out of the candle, and I let my energy go into it because I'm holding the candles in my palms. So I've noticed I have in the past flexed my muscles to get the energy, to make it feel like the energy goes in. You don't have to do that. Just know it goes in. So just by knowing that the energy is going in through the crown chakra, through the earth, through our heart breath meditation. So just know. You have to know. So what I do, I say, hallowed be, be thou consecrated and imbued with the hallowing might of the old ones, and increase to thy spirit by sun and moon and stars, sky and earth, water and fire. Now I've adapted as it is, 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 as it is. I use as it is instead of so shall it be. So that's from the Egyptian. So as it is 7 times, 6 or 7 times, it just depends on what you're doing. I usually say it 6 times. So that is how I would imbue a candle. And then I would talk to it. I would tell it, okay, I bless you, and I I bring you life, so that you will aid me in my magical workings within this Ouija session for the greater good, for myself, the greater good of all. So be it. So that's my simple, very simple candle working. You can drop oils onto it. You can add herbs. So while you're doing that, you can say stuff. You can use your hand, use your right hand, the dominant hand, the receiving end. Well, this is the receiving, the left. This is the projecting. So within the left hand, what I do if I'm taking, say, red rose petals or sage, I will think of the intention behind the plant, sage for cleansing. So I would just kind of break it up into my hand with this hand and see my energy going into the herbs. So I'll talk to the herbs because it is, it has a spirit too. So I will be talking to the herb while I'm crunching it up into my hand. And I will tell it, ask it, I'm very polite, always. I would pretty much say, okay, would you please help me and aid me in this working so I can better my results, or I can better my working for what we, for example, the Ouija. So yes, and then, so direct that energy, impregnate. You are literally impregnating the motherly fluids of the universe with your idea, which is the seed. You are bringing it to life with breath, with word. Word is the verb. So, that's it. That is it. So really, when we raise energy, I mean, we can raise energy, which is good. It's already in you. It's already in you. It's around you. It's everywhere. So you can do the heart breath meditation and really, really raise some energy while you're doing that. And then impregnate the candle with your idea. Light it. There we go. It's being directed to where it should be going. So that is my understanding of how Alpheus Levi has described magic. So that works very good for me. It was a very good analogy. It's getting dark, it's going to rain. But, so, that is just the basis of magic. So, it's either, your magic is either going to work or it's not. So, don't think it's going to come back to you like 3 times as bad. There is the threefold law, but it's not, it's going to come back to me 3 times as bad. So I will go into that in a later video. So again, meditation, meditation, meditation. And I know it's ridiculous. So, okay. Alright, I wanted to share with you guys more on the imagination. So, the imagination. So, this is vital information about when you are doing the reenactments with the Ouija. So we're just briefly going over all of this. So, okay, now, the verb, in fact, or the word, is the cloak of existence and the characteristic sign of life. Every form is the cloak of a verb, because the founding idea of the verb is the only reason for these forms. Every figure is a character, and all characters belong and return to the verb. You are also the verb. The one who creates is also the verb. So, where'd I go? So yes, okay, so that is why the ancient sages, from whom Trismegistus was their voice, had formulated their sole doctrine in these terms. What is above is like what is below, and what is below is like what is above. So, in other words, the form is proportional to the idea. The shadow is the measure of the body calculated by its relation to the luminous rays. The scarab is as deep as the sword is long. So the denial is proportional to the contrary affirmation. Production is equal to destruction in the movement which preserves life. And there is no point in infinite space, which is not the center of a circle, whose circumference extends and retracts perpetually in space. Each individual is thus perpetually perfectible. So we can actually strive for perfection, which is what you get taught in the Bible, literally. Strive to be God like God, godliness, and in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So, where did I go? Okay, so in other words, the form is proportional to the idea. The shadow is the measure. I read that already. So yes, each individual is thus perpetually perfectible. So we are perfectible, since morality is analogous to the physical order, and since we cannot conceive of a point that would not dilate, extend, and send out rays within a philosophically infinite circle. What we can say about the soul in its entirety, we can say about each faculty of the soul. Intelligence and man's will are instruments whose reach and power are incalculable. So, the will, that's the drive. So we have a lot behind us. So, but intelligence and will are assisted by a little-known faculty, in whose great power belongs exclusively to the domain of magic. I speak of imagination, which the Kabbalists called the diaphane, or the translucent. The imagination, in fact, is the eye of the soul. So, that is why I have always expressed to all of my students, always use your imagination. So, and it is within it that the forms materialize and are conserved. So it is through imagination that we can see the reflections of the invisible world. It is the mirror of visions and the apparatus of a magical life. It is through imagination that we cure diseases, that we influence the seasons, that we prevent death, that we can bring the dead back to life, because it is the imagination which excites the will and which gives it power over the universal agent. So, a little more on the imagination and why it is so important in Ouija work. Imagination determines the form of the child in the center of the mother and determines the destiny of men. So, it gives wings to contagion and commands weapons in wartime. Are you in danger during a battle? Do you think you are invulnerable like Achilles? Are you the so-called Paracelsus? So, fear attracts bullets, and courage turns back cannonballs. We know the amputees often complain about the limbs they no longer have. Paracelsus worked on living blood by treating the results of phlebotomy. So, with medicine, he cured headaches at a distance by working on cut hairs. Through the science of the unity of imagination and the solidarity of all parts, he was well in advance of all the theories and experiments done by most of our famous magnetists. So miraculous were his cures that another name was added to the original name, Philippus Theophrastus Bombast, that of Arculius Paracelsus. Even then, adding the epithet of divine. The imagination is the instrument of the adaptation of the verb. Imagination applied in reason is genius. Reason and genius both account in part for the diversity of its works. There is a principle, there is a truth, there is a reason, there is an absolute and a universal philosophy. So, what is within the unity is considered the principle, and what returns to the unity is considered the end. One is within one, that is to say, all is within all. The unity of the principle of numbers. It is also the principle of movement and in consequence of life. So all of the human body comes down to a single organ, which is the brain. All the religious come down to the unity of a single doctrine, which is the affirmation of being and its equality with itself, which constitutes its mathematical value. Lots of numbers. Read up a little bit about numerology for this course. So, there is only one doctrine in magic, and this is, the visible is a manifestation of the invisible, or in other terms, the perfect verb is, the perfect verb is in the things which are noticeable and visible in exact proportion to the things which are not noticeable by our senses and are invisible to our eyes. So, that's pretty much some pretty good stuff. I'm just trying to find a little bit more. So, okay, so I found this really interesting too right here. So, the certain Hebrew letter is man, another certain Hebrew letter is woman. So 1 is the principle, 2 is the verb, A is the active, B is the passive, the unity is Boaz, the duality in Jashin. So in Fuhishi's trigrams, the unity is the yang and the duality is the yin. Okay, so Boaz and Jashin are the names of 2 symbolic columns which were in front of the main doorway of the Kabbalistic Temple of Solomon. So, in the Kabbalah, these 2 columns explain all the mysteries of antagonism, whether natural, political, or religious, and it explains the generative conflict between man and woman because according to the law of nature, women must resist man, and man must seduce her or subdue her. So a little more on magic, a little more. So the active principle searches for the passive principle. The full loves the empty. The mouth of the serpent attracts its tail, and in turning on itself it both runs away from itself and chases itself. So this states man created woman, and universal creation is the spouse of the first principle. Universal creation is the spouse of the first principle. So when the principle being became the creator, he raised a yod, or a phallus, and to give it a place in the full uncreated light, he had to dig a pit, a shadow pit, equal to the dimension determined by his creative desire and attributed to him by the ideal yod of the radiant light. So yes, the yod is the penis. So that is the mysterious language of the Kabbalists in the Talmud. And because of ignorance and vulgar maliciousness, it is impossible for us to explain or simplify it more. So, what then is creation? It is the house of the creator verb. What is this is a French word, cietes? It is the house of the phallus. What is the nature of the active principle? It is to spread outwards. What is the nature of the passive principle? It is to gather and fertilize. What is man? He is the initiator, he who fractures, who plows, who sows. Who is woman? What is woman? She is the teacher, she who consolidates, who waters, and who harvests. So, pretty interesting stuff. So, the universe is balanced by 2 forces which maintain its equilibrium. The force which attracts and the force which repels. So these 2 forces exist in physics, in philosophy, and in religion. So they produce equilibrium in physics, criticism in philosophy, and gradual revelation in religion. The ancients represented this mystery in the battle between Eros and Anteros, in the combat between Jacob and by the angel. So by the mountain of gold held in equilibrium, using the symbolic serpent of India, by the gods on one side and the demons on the other. So it is symbolized by the caduceus of Hermanubis, by the cherubim of the ark, by the two sphinxes. Where did I go? On Osiris's chariot, and by the two seraphim, the black and the white. So, it is scientific reality. Its scientific reality is demonstrated by the phenomenon of polarity, and by the universal law of sympathies and antipathies. So, revelation is the duality. All verbs are twofold and supposed to. A lot. So a lot of information in there about what we are doing. So I hope that wasn't too much. So if you guys want to get that book, it's a very good book. I would suggest bookoutlet.com. Very good. Very good. Alright, so we have the basis, the foundation of magic, of how it works. Don't doubt. When you do your magic, don't doubt. Just leave it alone. Forget it. Set it and forget it, literally. So, that's the basis of magic. I just wanted to touch up on that. And the duality of the universe and what's within us. So, now, back to the Ouija. Alright. Now that I'm reading this book, everything is coming. It's very different for me. Everything is very different how I'm seeing things. So, this is why I have been posting ancestral veneration, how to do a general ancestral altar. This is our foundation, Mot, which is the Egyptian goddess of the earth. So, well, there's also Geb and tons of others. So, that's our foundation, on our ancestors. So, that is why you don't have to, but I mean just recognizing them, coming up with a prayer for them, which is what I want my current students to do. So, you are going to come up with, I know you have, Sean, I know you have your altar set up. So, we are going to, for the first assignment, we are going to come up with just a simple prayer. It can be a prose, it can be a prayer, it can be anything that you want. So, write yourself a letter, or write a source a letter, the all. I would write Baphomet a letter, personally. So, write the letter. Tell source, your guides, literally just date it, and lay it face up on your altar. So, your guides will be able to see and source what you are, wanting. Once you do that, though, don't struggle. Don't like drive or thrive. Don't dwell on it. That just kind of gives room for doubt, and then it just kind of declines after that. So, but I want you, my first student, to come up with a prayer. It can be anything that is honoring in adoration of your ancestors. Also include whatever deity that you're working with into that. So, hold on, guys, I will be right back. Alright, guys. Sorry, I had to pee really bad. So yes, to do just a statement. So, you can do two things. You can do a letter. You can write a letter to your ancestors, to your whatever deity that you are working with. So, Sean, I know you work with Baphomet, and I'm glad that you're with me on this. It makes me very happy. So, we could do first do a letter to Source, to our god or goddess, or whomever we choose, and explain just what we want. Just what we want. So just go and just fill out, just like the petition that I posted for La Santísima Muerte. Make sure you go into great detail about what you're doing, your intentions behind everything, and why. So just write a letter. Let Source know that you really want, you want this to happen. You want to be able to use the board for your spiritual growth, for your physical, growth, as a human being, because that's, for me, what it's done. It has been just amazing. So that's the letter part. Address your God, and then just write a letter telling your God who or what you specifically want. Put it on your altar, face up. You can put it in the back. I put mine all in the back, kind of on the antlers, way back there, by Baphomet's sigil. And yes, it works. So now our second part. So there's going to be kind of two little lessons. So the prayer. So we are going to come up with a prayer, a prose, something that is going to basically act as a catalyst for literally initiating ourselves into the Ouija and the spirit world for spirit communications. So it's very fun. Get creative. Get very creative if you want to. You can name all of your ancestors. You can name all of the gods and goddesses that you work with. But I keep it down to Source at the top of the page. I'll write Source, God, Goddess, the All, my ancestors, and my guides. So get creative with the letter. Be exact. But then with your prayer, make sure to include in that prayer the intention. It doesn't have to rhyme. So intention, what the prayer, what you're wanting, and then make sure you do a little line of adoration for your God that you are, for your prayer. So we would say something like, "Oh great Goddess, Mother of all who is splendid and beautiful and wonderful." So that kind of thing. Incorporate an adoration into it. So that's the basic of the prayer. And then at the end you can use "as it is." That's what I do because it's just how I went from the Egyptian tradition. Or you can say so mote it be. So shall it be, it is my will, so it is done. You get the general idea. So yes, this is the first 2 lessons, 2 assignments in the Ouija boot camp. Just little. If you have questions, email me. Always. Sean, you are we're very close, so I'm very, very happy with that, so we can talk directly. So that will be pretty cool. So I will walk you through every single step through the entire Ouija boot camp. So last night I was just kind of meditating with Baphomet, and so at 11:19 p.m. I got out of bed, and this is what I got. So this is an invocation, which I think is amazing. And I thought this book was going to be so much bigger, but so this is what inspired me just by looking at Baphomet's statue, its altar, that stuff. So, wow, I can't even read my writing when I channel. So, this is what I did channel though. So, call unto me in the middle of the night. Call unto me in the dead of the night. A universal source behind all in our universe. This is my intention. I will it with all of my might. Great Lord, I call upon you on this Sabbath night. Oh, this is an invocation for the Sabbath. So be with me, be in sight. I praise and honor thee, the great God of light. Come to me this night. So very simple but powerful words. So you can see how within that prayer or invocation I attributed Baphomet as part of the night. So duality. There's duality within that prayer. There is adoration, great Lord, and then there is a bit of little history about Baphomet right in there. The Sabbath. So the God of the Sabbath. And then light and darkness. So that's a perfect, to me that's a perfect combination, or a perfect prayer. Not a perfect prayer, but to me it's perfect. So, alright, I know you got your book already, Sean. Yes, you did. Which I think is amazing, and I am very, 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 very happy that we're going to be doing this together. So, I thought, so these from Azuri Green, I love these. I thought it was going to be this big. So this is literally Baphomet's, the book of Baphomet. So I did have to get myself a new journal because I am completely out. So this is just a really nice Tree of Life journal. It was very cheap. Very cheap. So it'll work perfectly. So yes, I love the paper. I love everything about these, and they're big, so you get tons of room to write. And it wraps up. Just like that. So this is my new workbook journal for this, for what we are doing. So hopefully you guys have, journals, notebooks, all that stuff. If you don't, I will send you one. So, yes, so tonight by midnight, I will need to know who, I'll know tomorrow morning because I won't be up until midnight. I will know tomorrow morning who is going to be in Ouija Boot Camp. So, the first two assignments. And just keep reading all of my posts that I post, starting with what Ouija Boot Camp is all about, the magical Ouija Boot Camp. Then start going through on my Patreon through all of the different La Santísima Muerte posts, and then kind of browse through. Yes, you can print anything you want off from my Patreon. If you can't, if it won't let you for some reason, just do a print screen or a screenshot and then print it, or take a photo of it if you have an iPad or whatever. So, but yes, I think this is going to be great. It's going to be even better than before. So, I'm very, very, very looking forward to it. So, I'm new. I haven't taught magic, so this will show how, so this is going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. So, but alright guys, off to mail out all the packages. So, yes, I will know tomorrow morning who is going to be in the Ouija Boot Camp. So, Sean, get to work. No, I'm joking. I know you're busy, and I know you're trying your damnedest, so that's all that matters, is that you're trying. So, I will come up tonight with, I will blog this video into something different. So, tomorrow though, at midnight, or tomorrow morning, is when the videos will be for students only, certain videos. So, but alright guys, I love you all very much, and I hope this helped to sum up some stuff of what we're going to be doing. And I love you all with all my heart, all the way from Venus, all the way back down. And I will see you all tomorrow. So, alright guys, I love you all, and thank you.